Welcome back to Fantasy Theory. Today we are going over both the critics and audience reviews of the new show, Avatar: The Last Airbender. Yes, there was the animated version, but this is the new Netflix live-action version, and it's not bad judging by the reviews. Starting with critics with over 45 reviews, they gave it a 59%, while the audience with over 250 reviews gave it a 75%. Totaling those together, they actually equal 67%, if my math is right, which is average, I would say. But let's jump into the critics first and see if there are any similarities and differences between critics and audiences. Is this a show for kids or adults? This Avatar might not be what people know, but the show is on its own heroic journey to realizing its full potential. Judging by this comment, the season is not what you expect, but it's setting up other seasons. Maybe I'm too positive on that, but I do want it to be good. Providing a big budget and plenty of time, 8 episodes, this live-action adaptation soars when it embraces its emotional and action set pieces. However, Netflix Avatar: The Last Airbender struggles by over-relying on CGI and fan service. Fan service, you say. The Last Airbender attempts to do the impossible. Reviving a beloved series and capturing the same amount of heart is not easy. While it does occasionally feel awkward in its execution, the passion shines through. There's enough here to build off of. Another one here basically saying there's more to come and, like they said, more to build off of. Cheesy acting and some Disney Channel-like dialogue turned what could have been a resounding epic adventure into a whimpering thud. For this adaptation, the highs are very high and the lows are low. While the grand scale and beautiful colors help this project as well as the bending and fighting, it seems to lack the heart and overall tone that made the animated series so special. Avatar also tries so desperately to rework its stories that the pacing often suffers. Adventures become a bit too convoluted and there is much stacked action that is easy to lose track of stakes and sense of urgency in any one plot line. I am seeing a lot of pacing issues from all these reviews. I don't know how to feel about that. Now, we did see one earlier that said 8 episodes was a long amount of time, but this one says its 8 episodes hit the big highlights of the original show, but miss all the small details that make those scenes soar. While the new series starts strong, the cracks begin to show once it starts trying to braid together different storylines. So 8 episodes maybe is not enough. Interesting when I see pacing issues, would a longer show help with that? This new Last Airbender is entertaining enough to work for newcomers to this world, and respectful enough to remind the cartoon fans why they loved that world in the first place. I count the original is one of my favorite shows ever, and I have to say the Netflix Avatar: The Last Airbender is much better than I thought it would be. By the end, I genuinely enjoyed it. The Airbender franchise has confidently revived itself. This won't be the last we see of it. I take this as more to come again. Now, we went through all of those. Seems from critics, it's a setup and more to come. What I got were people were just okay with this, but hopefully it built a strong foundation for future seasons. Let's get into the audience scores now. The fact that critics gave this a lower score than Halo is crazy. I get judging harshly from the original, but it's a great show that stands on its own, unlike the horrible movie. It's a live-action adaptation. It's not going to be perfect. Just huge shots at Halo right now. This show is filled with plot holes that a watcher can see if they haven't seen the original. The characters feel bland and one-dimensional without any true relationships to each other as they barely talk to each other, making it hard to be invested in the show. Also, it feels as though the creators wanted to set a serious tone, but it made the show feel stale and awkward. Overall, I think they wanted to go away from the original series, which is great, showing me something new, but rather than making things logical and cohesive along the way, they just left gaps in the story. While the show sometimes filters, the heart or the original series is present throughout, offering enough original content to keep things fresh for returning fans and well-executed world building to pull new fans into the story. The show isn't perfect, but the crew behind the series deserves a second season more than anyone. Their dedication and faithfulness apparent in every decision made in the creation of the show. A must-watch for Avatar's fans and a good introduction to the world of Avatar to new people. As a huge Avatar fan since my childhood, I can confirm that the essence of the original show is definitely here. I feel like most of the changes made sense. Outstanding performances by Ian Owsley, Sokka, and Dallas Liu, Zuko, in terms of embodying their characters. Bending looks great. Of course, it wasn't perfect. It had a few moments where the writing wasn't as flowy. Example, monologues where they should have been dialogues to make the interaction feel more natural. But altogether, I feel like this has a lot more potential for the, hopefully, upcoming seasons. Especially after learning from the critics, definitely excited for what's to come. I have to talk about this. All I see in reviews is hate for this series. I haven't finished it. I'm just at the 6th episode, but oh man, the story is so good. The animation may not be that good at times, but the characters are developed in the series in a wonderful way that I can't describe quite enough to make it justice. I even cried several times when they made subtle reference to the backstory of some characters that we learn way later in the original series. The story has changed, sure, but I would say that has made even better than it was and imbued with so much of the lore that we learned by reading the books or by watching Legend of Korra. You have to open your mind and listen the teachings that these stories trying to tell. I think they're trying to say is trying to tell. I really don't understand how it got so much hate from the reviews and from the fans. I can't wait to watch the finale and for the next season. Smiley face. It was average. I didn't expect an exact replica of the animated series, and some of my favorite parts of the show weren't in the animated show. I liked the bending, and there were some impactful emotional scenes. There was also some funny moments, and even though I struggled a bit with the direction they took with Zuko, Iroha and Sokka, at the first, they did grow on me, and I think their relationship was still highlight of the show. The thing I didn't like, the way they introduced and developed characters didn't feel impactful. I didn't find Azula intimidating at all. Aang didn't learn any waterbending, a general lack of suspense. Everything seemed rushed, and you seem to often get told what will happen before it happened. Like everything needs to be explained rather than letting the audience figure things out themselves. It doesn't leave much mystery to build suspense and intrigue. I gotta say, the audience reviews are cool. They go into such detail, and I really love it. I think this is the best they could have done, acting a bit meh though. Those who wished that the series would exactly look like an animated series, you are wrong, buddy. So how would I describe this series? I'm going to quote a famous person in Hollywood, The Rock. This series is a piece of dog shit. Well, what do you guys think? I definitely saw more fans loving this than critics. What I gather is it's good, and that's about it. Not great, not terrible, but again, not bad or perfect. Just a good show. Is that okay in today's world, though? Is it okay for a live-action version of such a great animated show to be just meh? Let me know what you think, and if you're going to see this, or if you've seen it already. Leave a like, drop a comment, and subscribe. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see everybody on the next one. Have an incredible day.